Hi, so I'm gonna do my 5-star reads. I'm also that type of person that's like, I'll read a book and the second I read it, I'm like, okay, 5 stars. But then I think about it more and I can compare it to other books. So yeah, these are all the books that I have. I just got them off my shelf, laid them down. So I just want to do like a quick video. I just feel like it'd be fun. I really want to do book videos like mainly for the channel. And yeah, I feel like this is a good one to start. I definitely want to do ones on books that I don't like at all, like the books that I've hated, because I have a few which are kind of like controversial because they're really popular. So I will do that sometime. But yeah, here are mine. The first one I'm going to start with are all my Colleen Hoover books, which to be honest, every single book I've read by Colleen Hoover is a 5-star read because she's just an incredible author and I love all of her books. But I did pick out my top 4. I think I have read about 10 books by her, but I picked out 4. So Slammed is the first one. I'll read the back of them for each one. And basically it's that. This is Colleen Hoover's first ever book written, and she talks about it a lot, about how much she hates it and she wants to rewrite it, but I am in love with the series. All of her books are extremely quick reads. The fonts are like perfect. It's really good. I don't know. It's kind of, all of her books are really similar, but also extremely different, to where each one I'm like shocked and in love in a different way. So Slammed, and then there's also, this is a trilogy, there's 2 other books to it, which I highly recommend. The third one, honestly, I love so much because it was in a different perspective, I believe, and it just brought like a lot new thoughts to like each scene that you read from the first book. My second is Reminders of Him, Colleen Hoover. I got this book, I picked it up from my local bookstore like 2 days after it released. I put it on hold a couple days before, and I read this in like a day. It Ends With Us, which I don't have sitting here, is definitely a 5-star read. Very popular. Some people don't like it, most people do. In love with it, and that's always been like my Colleen Hoover book. Like, you want to read Colleen Hoover, like read It Ends With Us. But honestly, I read this and I cry at every single Colleen Hoover book that I read, by the way, like cry. This one broke me. Like, I don't know what was extra about it or what, but there was just something different about this one compared to all the other ones that I've read, and it's incredible. Like, it's so good. Highly recommend. If I'm gonna recommend any Colleen Hoover book, definitely Reminders of Him. It's beautiful, it's amazing, I love the characters. 10 out of 10. Basically that, there's love interests, there's always are in her books. Just, it's so good. It's just family building and like trauma and everything. I know a lot of people say to look up the trigger warnings before all of her books, so I would do that just to be safe. But 10 out of 10. Next one is November 9th. This is the first book that I have ever read in one sitting. I started this book I think at like 10 at night one night, and then I finished it at like 4 in the morning, which I was reading a lot slower just because it was nighttime, but I just went through this. This book is so good. And it's just one of her like easy, like pick it up, read it, it's great. And basically they become really attracted to each other, and they decide to meet once a day, the exact same day, every single year without any contact. They had no social media, no phone numbers, like nothing. And it's November 9th that they meet every year, and it's not much of an in-between, which I kind of like, and it shows like it cuts from one November 9th to the next year November 9th, and it's really good. This next one is similar to Reminders of Him, as in it's like in its own category of Colleen Hoover and 5-star read, and this is Verity. Definitely people have heard a lot about this one. This book is so good. This is also my prized possession because my sister got this for me for Christmas, and it's signed by Colleen herself, and she signed my name. This book is so good. I think I read it in 2 days, which most of her books I do. This is a thriller. It's upsetting. It is dark. It's not just like a fun like murder mystery or anything like that. Like, it's intense. It is, I would say, in the best rated sense, rated R. um, it's so good. It's scary. It's, I don't know. It's every single emotion and words you could think of. And highly recommend. It is creepy, and I love this book. Let me just read you the first sentence. Chapter 1. I hear the crack of his skull before the splattering of blood reaches me. There you go. So those are my 5-star reads by Colleen Hoover. All of hers, like I said, are 5 stars, but these are ones that have really just stuck with me. I'm editing, and I realized I forgot to ask y'all the most important question about Verity. Team manuscript or team letter? There's no right answer. The next books I'm going to do are kind of like the series that I've clumped together that I like, and then my favorite books out of those series. So the first one I'll do is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I don't actually have the first one because my friend let me borrow it, but I do have these two. This one's also hers. I just haven't given it back, but she's really good at annotating. So the first one is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which follows Pip, a 17-year-old in high school. She's a senior, and she's completing her capstone project, which is just like the seniors' big project. They get to do whatever they like, and she decides to complete her project on diving back into a mystery of a girl that went missing and was presumed dead by her boyfriend being the murderer. I believe it was 4 years before, and basically the book just follows her building relationships with that family, with her family, and trying to figure out who the actual killer was and things like that, and it's so good. Good Girl Bad Blood is the second book, and it follows the same characters, the same world, everything, but it's a different mystery and everything. It's really good. Same as Good as Dead, which is the final book. I would say that As Good as Dead is my favorite in the series. To be honest, I don't remember the books that well. I kind of want to reread them. But just like with what I remember, this one was my favorite. I just really liked it. I'd say this one, the first book, and then the second, but they are all incredible 5-star series. My second kind of standalone but also series that I absolutely am in love with is One of Us is Lying. There's the Bayview 4. They go to Bayview High School, and the best way in a sense to think about this book is The Breakfast Club but with murder. So there is Cooper, Bronwyn, Addie, Nate, and Simon. And like I said, they're called the Bayview 4. They all go to detention, and Simon ends up dying. And it's just a big mystery of developing who the characters are. You get to read everyone's perspective, which I love. Karen McManus, she's an awesome writer. And she actually wrote this book in 2 months, which is insane. But yeah, highly recommend. Also, the TV show that is incredible. This book also has a sequel, which is One of Us is Next, following similar characters, but it's more of a kind of like spin-off. I don't remember the second one as much, but I know that it was really good. But the first one, 10 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna go, these will forever be a comfort and my favorite thing to ever exist, which is Twilight. My best friend actually got me into this. My sister had read the books, and my best friend was like obsessed with Twilight. This was the beginning of last year, and I don't know, like I was like, I want to read it sometime, but it's a lot of books, and I hadn't read a series before or anything like that was really like as a teenager that I wanted to read. So I picked it up one day, and I was like, you know what, it's time. I think it was like a month ago I like posted on my private story like it's time, and I was me starting this. And this is just what has gotten me into reading. Like, this series, I'm not even gonna, like, explain what the book is because pretty much everyone is gonna know what Twilight is. But every single book in the series is just, I'm in love, except with Jacob's part. That I could skip. My wall is an entire Twilight book. It's New Moon, yeah. That's on the wall. That took a lot. I think I watched 2 Twilight movies while putting it up. So, yeah. But these books are incredible, and I highly recommend to anyone who wants to get into reading or just wants like a fun thing that you will hyperfixate on for the rest of your life. Team Edward, and there's no other way. This second to last one, a part of a series, has my heart right now because I'm in the middle of reading the series. I'm actually on the last book. Basically, this one is A Court of Wings and Ruin. It is the third book in the 5-book series of A Court of Thorns and Roses. I started this series about 2 months ago, and I'm not about to finish, but I'm almost a quarter way through A Court of Silver Flames, which is the last book, and it's almost like 800 pages, so it's been taking me a little while to get through. I read the first one, I loved it, so I read the second one. I really liked that one, but it was really hard to get through besides the last 100 pages, and I had heard online and from friends and stuff that the second one is the best book in the series. But then I read this one, which is the third one, and I cannot explain enough. I just can't like put into words how in love with this book I am. I have a video of me crying reading it, and it's great and it's really funny. But this book is so good. I 100% recommend the series. I'm new to fantasy, so it's been really hard to get into, but not hard to get into the characters, and it's understandable, really understandable, but it's still been like, I don't know, you know, I'm ready to get back to a Colleen Hoover book or just like a murder mystery like type thing, because that's just what I love, but I'm still absolutely in love with the series. And the third book, yes. This last book I have is the most heart-wrenching book I have ever read in my entire life. And it is 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. I was assigned this book for my summer reading last year going into my junior year. And, you know, a lot of summer reading books are, you have to read them or you end up reading the Spark Notes, like whatever. This book is, I'd probably say, my favorite book of all time. It is fiction, which all these books are, obviously, but it's fiction, but it's very real, and it basically follows Miriam, who is a young girl in the beginning of the book, from Afghanistan. It's really hard to explain, but it just kind of goes through her like growing up and then does split off into another perspective for the last part of the book. It is, I'd say, really educational. I read the book over the summer, like I said, and you know, nothing in Afghanistan was really happening. I know things have always been going on, but nothing was really like happening that was like aware in the news and everything. But then a couple months later, things started happening with the Taliban again, and after like reading this and talking about it in school, doing projects on it and stuff, I like, you know, finally was like aware of what had happened and what was happening, especially to women and stuff. And it was like, it's so heartbreaking, and I don't really have the privilege to like have too much of that feeling because I've never witnessed it or been able to like bear that. But just being like an outsider and someone who's privileged in just life and like being safe, it has been insane to see that things like this actually happen and that are actually happening. So if you just want to like educate yourself, but also just fall in love with characters and fall in love just with a book, read this. And then I know that Kite Runner is also this extremely famous book from the same author that I haven't read. I have it, but I didn't want to break myself again, so I still need to be like emotionally prepared to not be emotionally available anymore after reading that book. This is the most annotated most annotations of a book I've done. Can't really see it too much, but there's like a lot. And I'll insert a picture of my project for school because I was really proud of it. My teacher gave me an 80% on it, which is not okay. I should have gotten 100 to be honest, but yeah. Yep. Here are all my books. That's it. I hope you enjoyed.